Welcome to the hangar. Today I'm going to talk about survival equipment for your airplane. Now in Canada this is under CAR 602.61 and it's, well, basic or complicated depending on how you look into it. There's a number of different rules about the type of airplane you're flying, the route that you're flying, and whether you're over land or water. But the basics are that you have something to provide shelter, something to make a fire, something for visually cueing an airplane, and something for providing or purifying water. So not very many items there. As I've said a couple of times, fortune tends to favor the prepared. So it may be that you want to take a slightly more in-depth look at the items that you might want in the airplane to keep yourself comfortable in a survival situation. That's going to mean basing what you carry on the type of gear and the terrain that you're overflying. I've just got back from Pembroke, which is about 105 nautical mile flight over Canadian bush and shield, with a few settlements scattered along the way. But there's lots of opportunity to end up really a long way away from help, and you're going to want to make sure that you can survive comfortably for a little while. So we'll take a quick look at what I've got scattered around in the airplane, and maybe it'll be of help to you. Okay, in the baggage compartment here, I've already got it opened up. I've got my tub with ropes and tie downs, and I keep my oil filler in there. We've got oil in the background, and survival items I keep in here is my survival hunting knife, which has fishing line, signaling mirror, hooks. It's got a compass, it's got waterproof matches and everything else all right in the handle there and in the scabbard as well. Even has a slingshot. I've had to go with that a couple of times. Don't think I'd really want to try and hunt with the thing. I've also got a hatchet that I keep in the front. So that's what kind of stays in here, along with some spares, tie-down ropes, and actual tie-downs, hydraulic fluid, and items like that to go in the airplane. Okay, let's walk around to the back of the plane, and we'll see what we've got there. Okay, so back baggage compartment. All right, in the back I've got my toolbox, which is definitely covered in my tools to carry in the airplane with you. Shop towel, brake cleaner, next to a water bottle that I carry pretty much all the time, an insulated one. Now, I've got a coat and a sweater with me, separate items in the plane. It's the middle of June right now, but the nighttime low last night was 2 degrees, so definitely want to keep that into consideration because that's pretty cool. So some extra clothing, definitely a good plan. I have a very easy to set up lightweight tent that I use for a lot of my flying camping. It's only 5.5 pounds, and you know, I do have a lot of space. Obviously your airplane will dictate how much you can carry, but I do have a lot of space, so it's very easy for me to throw that in. So I've got that with me. I've even thrown in my little inflatable roll mat because it's very comfortable. I've got my sleeping bag here at the back, and then this is actually the canopy cover for the airplane, which I take whenever I'm not staying at the hangar, just to keep rain and sun and everything off of the windows and interior. It also obviously makes a pretty big canopy for you if you were in an emergency situation. Now I still have my large muck boots in the back. They are heavy duty, waterproof, insulated. It's getting a little late in the year for them, but certainly wet terrain, they're going to be excellent. And in your early spring time period, don't forget, up in the bush, in all the forest, lots of snow still on the ground, even long after it's disappeared from around your neighborhood or more southern residence. So definitely good items to have in the back there. All right, we'll hop up into the cabin. Okay, so items in the cabin that we've got include just my flight bag, which has a couple of extra bits and pieces like waterproof matches. I normally have, or always have, granola bars and a pair of light gloves. I've got a bandana in there which can, just be used to keep the sun off you or whatever the case may be. We've got aircraft documents and first aid kit with a number of items that I've added into it. I've got a very large jug of water, not the normal insulated one that I carry, but I wanted to have something with me just in case. haven't used it, but I do have, you know, a couple of liters of water there to supplement my actual water bottle. Now, flares are here. They actually live in the glove box, but I was rooting around in there. So, flares, granola bar, energy drink, and this is one of my favorite items. This is my Fast Find GPS personal locator beacon. It's a 121.5 243 406 megahertz GPS ELT registered to me. It's waterproof to 10 meters. It floats. It's in a case here that has a belt loop. If I'm flying out over water, even in the Twin, this gets put on my belt. I make sure everybody knows how to use it, because obviously, or especially with the possibility of a water landing emergency situation, the aircraft fixed DLT could become destroyed, submerged, and be inoperative. So this one will leave with you as you exit the airplane, and you can switch it on. It takes a battery that needs to be replaced every 7 years. It costs about $350, so very cheap insurance. Obviously, you're going to want to have a fire extinguisher as per your normal equipment required in the aircraft. So those are some of the items I carry. I also have just my overnight bag in the back, and again, I seem to get very grumpy if I get hungry, so I've got, you know, more energy drinks and granola bars in there, and I've got obviously spare clothing and a number of items because I'm going somewhere, and that's just fine. And you may find that when you are going different places, that, especially if you're flying camping, you may have a lot of this equipment with you. That makes life really easy for you. It's when you're doing those more relaxed trips over certain terrain, you really want to think about what it is that you're carrying with you. Now, if you're going to fly a long way up north over some really inhospitable terrain, you may, if possible, want to consider carrying a firearm for big game defense and or hunting purposes with you. Bears, coyotes, wolves, moose can be very aggressive and dangerous, and I have definitely heard of stories of individuals being hurt. I've talked firsthand with a search and rescue tech who responded to an aircraft crash in northern Ontario where one individual had survived but was mauled to death by a bear shortly after the crash. I've personally been camping in more northern locations at small, old, like abandoned grassed airports and things like that, and the coyotes can get pretty wild and other wildlife like that, so it may be a item that you do want to carry. It does present a big hazard and difficulty with care and control of a firearm, and gives you a little extra to think about, keeping it under lock and key and things like that. But again, might be a very sensible precaution to take with you. Fortune favors the prepared, so you definitely want to have a good think about what it is you're carrying, and is this an area that you can improve upon. I also have a buck knife that lives on me all the time, and I keep a lighter, just a big lighter, in my pocket all the time. As a mechanic, that's super fantastic and helpful, but also from a flying perspective, this is a really great tool to have, because at least if, worst case scenario, I end up out of the plane in a real hurry, I've got a knife and I got a lighter with me. I have personally been involved in incidents with airplanes, rescuing other individuals, some of them not really a big deal, just they broke down and got stranded at a remote airport overnight. They had nothing with them. Pretty unpleasant evening. I've also gone and helped take an airplane off of a frozen lake that had an engine failure. Pilot didn't even have a coat. In the wintertime, it landed on a frozen lake and you don't have a coat in the plane, you're really asking for some trouble. So do have a think about what's in the airplane when you're flying, and I hope you found this helpful. I hope you're getting out and trying to get lots of flying done, and we'll talk to you all soon. Happy tailwinds.